Hey guys, how you doing? You already know, this is your boy Bin the Rich. I'm a dancehall Jamaican artist, but I also do real estate. Today I'm gonna share with you guys how I get started in the real estate game. And yes, I'm Jamaican because see a few people asking where I'm from. Yeah, I'm from St. Mary, Jamaica. So yes, I'm Jamaican, living in the US. Today I'm gonna share with you how to get started if you want to get started in real estate. Okay, so the first steps, and as I told you, everything on my page is gonna be authentic. Everything that I'm telling you, the only thing that's left for me to do is to write a book to instruct you on how to start out in real estate. It's not hard, but it's hard. So I'm gonna break it down for you. So there are certain boxes that you have to tick before you get started in real estate. All right. So box number one, you have to make sure that you have a good credit score. Your credit score needs to be at least, I would recommend anything over 700 because you get more opportunities. But you have banks out there that approve, like for a first time home buyer, a credit score of like 580, anywhere above 580. But a 580 credit score is not really a good credit score. What I consider a good credit score is a credit score that's over 750. That's so, first thing you want to do is to get your credit score right. So if you have a credit score of 580 or above, yes, there are certain banks that will still give you a loan. So you learned that today, so you could write that down. So the first thing you got to do is to make sure that you have a good credit score. Okay, the second thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that you have some savings. So lately when I speak to someone, they want to be a first time home buyer, not going too crazy, I tell them to have at least $30,000 to $50,000 in their bank account in order to acquire their first home, in order for your down payment, stuff like that. And yeah, so you're gonna need your down payment whenever you're buying your first home. And there's also a thing they call a closing cost. So between your down payment and your closing costs, I always tell people to put down anywhere between 4 to 5% of the purchase price. So your closing cost could be 4 to 5%, and your down payment could be, if you're a first time home buyer, say you're gonna take out a FHA loan, that's like a government loan. If you're a first time home buyer, you can actually get a 3.5% down. So let me give you an example. If you're buying a house for $100,000, all you need to put down is $3,500, and then you're probably going to need like another $4,000 to $5,000 in closing costs. So it's that simple. It's not hard, but you have to have these things before you can start. So the first thing I said, make sure your credit score is good. A good credit score for me is anything over 700. Excellent credit score is 750 or over. But there are banks out there that will still give you a loan with a 580 or above credit score. And in a later video, I'll give you a list of banks that will still give you the loan. Okay, so you need great credit, you need to have your credit score intact, and you need to have your down payment and your closing costs, which I just explained. Okay, once you have those, some people have a business while some people work a 9 to 5. There's different ways that you could acquire a home, and the bank have different type of loans. So you have some loans. This is for the first time somebody trying to enter real estate. I'm just breaking it down for you. So you have some loans in the bank, right, that you don't need any income documents. It's called a no income doc loan. A lot of people don't know about this, but it doesn't require any income document. You could go into your bank tomorrow and ask them about it, and they will tell you what I'm saying is true. Okay, you have a different type of loan now called an investment loan. Saying you're buying a house, but you're not buying it for your primary purpose. This is where you can put down 20% on a house. So say a house is worth 100,000, you can put down 20%. They're going to calculate how much the house could be rent for, and they're going to use 75% of that income in order to put towards your income. So say you could rent the house for $1,000. They will say, okay, $750 would go towards your monthly payment. So that way the bank will give you the loan because the asset can fund itself. Okay. You also have the regular route, which most people tend to go. This is the route where you have a 9 to 5, or you're an LLC owner, and you just want to, put down anywhere from 3.5 to 5 to 10%. You would have to prove to the bank that you can afford this asset. So what you're going to do, if you're a W-2 worker, they're going to ask you for your 2 tax return. And most banks want to make sure that you're working for at least 2 years. So most banks ask you for 2 years prior tax return. Some banks will ask you for 1 year prior tax return. But most banks ask you for 2 years prior. So another thing that I want you to check is to make sure, that you are actually working, or you can prove that you're working for at least 2 years. Because a lot of the banks, they will not approve your loan if you're not working at least 2 years. So they're going to ask you for your last 2 pay stubs and your last 2 year tax return. The regular stuff. They ask you for your copy of your social, your current address, stuff like that. But I'm just giving you what banks are looking for in order for you to buy your first house, to show you it's not hard. So far, all you need is a credit score above 580, your down payment and closing costs. So right now, I'll recommend, if you have anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 in your bank account, you can buy a house. And once your credit score is over 580 and you have a 9 to 5, or you have a business and you're doing your taxes properly on your business to show how much you're actually making off your business, you can do a pre-approval. So after you have that, all of these boxes checked, we're going to do a thing called a pre-approval. What is a pre-approval? So a pre-approval is when you give the bank that's going to give you the loan to buy the house, you give them your information, how much you make per year, your name, date of birth, everything, the social. So they run everything. They're going to make sure that your credit, which I mentioned before, which is very important, your credit score has a lot to play with this. So for the banks that will give you the loan, if your credit score is 580 or better, your credit score have to be 580 or better. You have to prove in your bank account that you have the down payment. So it's called proof of funds. Your down payment and your closing costs. And some bank asks for money in arrears, which means after you pay your closing costs and your down payment, you have to show in your bank account that you have enough money in there to pay the mortgage anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on the bank. So I hope you're following me. So far, it's your credit score, your down payment, and your closing costs. You're got to make sure that you can prove, which is income documents, whether you're working a 9 to 5 or you're working for yourself. Prove that you could afford a house. And after you do your pre-approval. Once you do your pre-approval, the bank is now going to tell you how much money they are willing to lend you based on how much you're making and how much your monthly debt is. So I'm going to get into that now. So there's a thing called a debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio, some banks doesn't want it to be more than 40%. It depends on the bank. Some banks don't want it to be more than 50%. So each bank, they have their leeways, and each bank work differently. Your debt to income ratio is how much money you make monthly versus or yearly versus how much debt you have. So for instance, a lot of people with the big student loans, and I'm going to get into that. A lot of people with the big student loan, they tend to have a hard time buying a house because the student loan affect their debt to income ratio. So it's the debt to income ratio is how much money you make versus the amount of debt that you have. So you have to prove to the bank that even if you have debt, you can still afford to pay your mortgage on a monthly basis. Okay, let's break down now. So I already tell you how you can acquire a house as a first-time home buyer. If you have any questions or if I miss anything, I want you to put your question right now in the comment section. If you have any questions so far, and I will answer your question in the next video. So if you have a question, and as a matter of fact, I want you to like, share, comment, and make sure you leave the notification bell on. So every time I drop a video, you guys will be able to be notified, and then you can watch the video. Okay. So now, as I explained to you, after your pre-approval, the debt to income ratio, let me get back there because I don't want to lose you guys. So the debt to income ratio, as I explained before, is how much you make monthly or yearly versus how much debt you have. And it is a percentage that the bank use, and they calculate and let you know if you could get the loan or not. Okay, so once that's done and you buy your first home, so your credit score is good, you have your down payment, and all of that stuff, your debt to income comeback's great, you get a pre-approval letter. So the pre-approval letter, just say you're pre-approved for a house for $400,000. It doesn't mean you have to buy a house for $400,000. All you have to do is look for a house anywhere from $0 to $400,000, and that's what the bank is telling you that you can afford, and they're saying this is the amount of money that I'm willing to lend you based on your income statement and documents, and based on what you told us. This is what I can afford to lend you. Okay, once you get the mortgage, now a lot of people get cold feet for buying their first house. But I always tell people this: if you can rent someone else's house and take care of it, if you could rent another house and you pay your rent, because a lot of these rents is way more than the mortgage. And let's be honest, so if you can afford to pay rent, you can afford to pay your mortgage. If you can afford to take care of someone else's home, you will take care of your home. If you can afford to pay someone else's light bill, water bill, cable bill, you will be able to pay your own. The best investment you can ever make is a real estate investment. It's the only investment that you will make where the more you pay down on your house, the equity build up in it. So you're paying down the loan, but the equity is building up in your house. So that's more money for you. Okay, a lot of people are going to ask, what's equity? Let me break down what's equity to you. Equity is the amount of money that you have in your house that you can take out from the bank. Let me break it down in a better term. So say I buy a house for $100,000. That's the buying cost, right? And since we flip houses, let me give you the perfect scenario. Just like the house that we just did in Covington. So we buy at 130,000, right? But there's a thing that they call an after repair value. So because the house needed to be repaired, we had to fix up the house. So I put like another 80 to 90K in the house. What equity is, now that we're 200,000 in the house all in, but the house is now worth $320,000, right? So the equity in the house will be the difference of what you put in and what the house is actually worth. And most banks, if you're going to do a thing they call a refinance cash out, that means your equity, you could cash your equity out. Most banks will refinance your house for you, and you can take the cash from out your house. You could also do it with a home equity line of credit. but I will speak to you about that, what I want to make with the line of credits, and I'm going to go through all the definitions with you guys in a later video. So I'm just walking you through today the simple things that you need in order to buy your first house. Once you buy your first house, everything else becomes easier, because now you have access to a bigger asset, an asset that over the years it's only gonna increase in value. So a house, you could buy a house in 2020 for 200,000, and by the time it's 2024, it's 2025, that same house is $600,000 to $700,000. And I've seen cases where you could buy a house for $400,000, and within a year or two, that same house is worth over $1 million. Yes, I've seen those cases. So if you're interested to buy your first home and you don't know what to do, I'm gonna help out some people on this podcast. This is what I'm gonna do. At the bottom of the screen, yes, through in the video, you're gonna see a number running. If you need help, if you have questions about how to acquire your first home, if you already have the stuff that I told you about, your credit score is good, you have at least 30 to 50K in your bank account, you have you're a business owner, or you have a good 9 to 5, let me know. If you tick all the boxes that I just told you about, that you could prove your income, credit score is good, let me know. Text the number below, 561-355-9776. Someone from my team will get back to you. I will introduce you to a realtor that will walk you through the entire process. I don't care what state you're in, because we do real estate right across America. Text the number below if you're interested in buying your first home, but you don't know what to do, and I'll have one of my team members walk you through the process. So when I build this program, that's what I said I want to do. I want to help people, especially people in my community. A lot of places I go, I don't see a lot of us from my community. And I mean the black community, because a lot of people scared to say it. I'm not. I love everyone. I love black, white, Caucasian, Asians. I love everyone, but I don't see a lot of my people in the black community a lot of the places that I go. And I want to see more of us at the places where I go. So if you're interested in buying your first home and you don't know what to do, text the number below, 561-355-9776, and just text me your name and say that I am and where you're from. I want you to text your name. I want to text where you're from, and let us know what you're interested in doing. If you want to buy an investment property, or if you want to buy your first property. I know some of you already have your first property, but you want to still acquire another property. I could also show you how to do that, but I'm going to break that down, how to use one asset or one house to buy multiple houses. So I'm going to break that down in the next video. So what I want you guys to do is to stay tuned and look out for the next video. If anything that you want me to talk about, any topic that you want me to touch, if I miss anything in this video, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section, so I will address it in the next video. And I'll also, a member from my team will also reply to your comment once you have a question. I want you to put God first. God bless you, and make sure that you guys are staying safe and you're staying healthy out there. This is the Rich Team Real Estate YouTube channel. I want you guys to like, I want you to share, I want you to subscribe, and I want you to follow us so you could learn how about real estate on how to acquire your first property in real estate, or you could learn how to buy your first investment property in real estate. I am Ben the Rich. This is the Rich Team Real Estate YouTube channel, so make sure you go and support us. Have any question, remember, leave a comment, like, share. Have a blessed night. I'm out.